so 20 to hear. Order. Point of order come after Standing Order 20. Mr. Dennis Skinner.
On Tuesday of last week, when the announcement was made, I wrote to you, Madam Speaker, with respect to a Standing Order number 20 emergency debate on the pit closure programme. Following on from that, the Shadow Cabinet decided to allocate a supply day and quite properly to debate this issue. I believe that this request should continue, my request for an emergency debate for tomorrow, so that we have a 2 days debate in order to hear everything that my honourable friends in particular want to say. At least 20 of them today didn't get a chance to put the questions. And there have been many unanswered questions, not least the last one that was put by my honourable friend in respect of a review. What the President of the Board of Trade has been doing this afternoon is hoodwinking the people out there, and particularly hoodwinking some of his backbenchers, to give them the impression that he's delivered a moratorium, when in actual fact he's going to conduct what limited review takes place himself and come back with whatever he likes. That's one of the unanswered questions. This matter is urgent, important and specific, Madam Speaker. It's important because this is the government that talks about ballots, and yet when they had this discussion in the Cabinet, they didn't even have a ballot because they didn't have a full Cabinet. It's also important because this matter is being rushed through because of the 40% left of the electricity privatisation. There's 40% left to sell. They want to rush it through in order to line the pockets of their friends. That's why this matter is being rushed through. That's why they can't afford to wait more than 3 months. They also want to get hold of the pension funds. There's £13 billion in the two pension funds belonging to the miners and the others that work in the industry. It's estimated there's still another £1 billion left, and the Treasury are going to try and get their hands on this £1 billion in order to pay out for the redundancies. That's the game of this government. And a woman in my constituency sent me a parcel yesterday. She said, "Here, take this to Heseltine." She says, "This is a miner's suit. He works in a hot seam. There's his pants. There's his vest." She says, "Give him Heseltine. I hope he gets the other 30,999, and then he'll have a valuable national asset. Here, take them." She says, "P.S. I've washed them, but the socks need darning. Why doesn't he put them on, clean up that coal outside his front gate, and never return again?"
Order, order. I must respond to this. I've listened carefully to what the honourable member has said, and I have to give my decision, of course, without stating any reasons for doing so. And I'm afraid that I do not consider that the matter which he has raised is appropriate for discussion under our Standing Order 20, and I therefore at this stage cannot submit the application to the House. Now, I have a point of order from Mr. Spearing. I'm going to take that now.
Speaker, because it does concern the conduct of the Secretary of State, the President of the Board of Trade. You will be aware, Madam Speaker, that on the 4th of March last, the former and now defunct Energy Select Committee of this House, and the House and the public do set great store by select committees, published a 3-volume report of 300 pages concerning the consequences of electricity privatisation. An important section of this was consequences for the coal industry. The Secretary of State published a response, or a claimed response, on the 9th of June. You will be aware, Madam Speaker, that the government, under a Cabinet minute available to all select committee chairs or members, is that the normal procedure is that the government supplies a response to a select committee report, and this one had no less than 50 conclusions and recommendations, either by an oral statement in the House, a command paper, a memorandum to the chair of the committee concerned, and may be supplemented by a written answer. On this case, Madam Speaker, there was a written answer and a press release referring to 2 documents which had been placed in the library of the House as deposited documents. And you may know, but other colleagues may not, that this is not normally available to the media. Those 2 documents, Madam Speaker, consisted of one memorandum of 3.5 pages from the Secretary of State, responding to 9 of the 50 conclusions and recommendations of the Select Committee. There was another memorandum by the Director of Electricity Supply to the other 41. Some were actually replied to by both. Now, I would suggest to you, Madam Speaker, that this method, which was semi-secret, and the mode of reply was not in accordance with the expectations or indeed the requirements of the House, particularly as if some of those recommendations had been adopted, there is an argument that what we have discussed today would not have occurred. Can I ask you, therefore, Madam Speaker, to rule whether or not the conduct of the Secretary of State was in accordance with the expectations of the House? And if it is not within your power so to rule, to indicate who and what committee and by what means his disgraceful and inadequate conduct in a democratic state can be further examined.
Order. I cannot allow a response from the opposition, the government, to a point of order. A point of order is to me in the chair. I'm sure the Secretary of State will understand. I must inform the House, first of all, that I am grateful to the Honourable Member for giving me notice of his point of order. Together, he did give me a very full explanation of what he had in mind. And I must tell him, and I believe he is aware, that the response the government makes to a Select Committee report is, of course, a matter between the government and the committee. In this case, the successor committee to the Energy Committee, which is the Select Committee on Trade and Industry. So therefore, alleged inadequacies in a reply do not raise questions of a point of order for me. And I must ask the Honourable Member, and I'm sure he has a good deal in mind of how he might pursue this matter in other ways. Thank you. On a point of order, yes.
May I seek your guidance, as I would want to help the House in this matter? May I make it clear on a point of clarification that I will immediately investigate how this situation came about, which I suspect is to do with the fact the Select Committee no longer exists, and if there is any way in which these documents are not in the public domain, I will seek an early opportunity to put them there.
Order. I'm sure the House appreciates what the Secretary of State has just had to say. I've got Mrs. Joan Wally.
On a further point of order, can I bring to your attention that it is my view that the House has been misled this afternoon because we have been given the impression that there has to be an independent review with a moratorium. In view of the fact that Trenton Pitt has already ceased operations on the evidence of the coal boards...
Order. Look, I want to help every individual member here when I can, and I know that the Honourable Lady has got a deep interest in these constituency on this matter. But what she is doing now is attempting to prolong the questions on that statement, and I can't let her do that by means of a point of order. Every sympathy with her. I'm sorry I couldn't call her. There were very many other members that I would not been able to call, but I cannot allow a further debate on this matter now.
The Secretary